Hi, everyone. It's Jennifer Tarl. Welcome back. I'm super excited to welcome Vince Ricci today. He's been here before and he's back. I love him and I think you're going to love him too. He is the founder of City Stages and he began improvisation and spent years in education and admissions coaching. And now he has returned to improv. And he thinks it is the most direct way to help people connect, communicate, and show up as themselves. I couldn't agree more. He has just launched a new course called Being Human Together, which is starting on February 19th. So I'll put all the details for that in the description. And also stay tuned to the end. He's going to give us a lot more details on that. And I'm excited to explore how improv and human connection intersect at work with Vince. So help me welcome Vince. Hey, Vince, thanks for coming again. Welcome.
Hey, Jennifer, great to see you.
So great to have you back. So everyone knows I love improv. I just love it. I think it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself as an adult was take improv classes. So walk me through a little bit. How did you get into improv as a kid, it sounds like? And then how did you end up back here?
I had done theater in high school, just run-of-the-mill public high school, theater stuff, nothing special. And we did improv games because that's what, that's what you do. But I showed up in college at Stanford and I met this woman who's still a close friend. I'm currently her course assistant for her live class down on campus every Monday night. Patricia Madson, has written a book called Improv Wisdom, which is really a great read, easy to read and fun to read, and really informational about how improv can be helpful in your daily life. So she's really the one that turned me onto this.
Okay. All right. And so then what did you do sort of after improv? Sounds like you didn't just do theater for your whole life.
I applied improv to education. I became a classroom teacher and I would do things like one day I spontaneously decided in my 6th grade Latin American history class that we were going to do a mock trial. We were going to put Pancho Villa on trial. Was he guilty? Was he innocent? And like, okay, you're a lawyer, you're a witness. And I just constructed this whole world. And that was totally world building. That was totally improv. So I just applied improv to the classroom environment. I also taught improv at the school where I was a teacher down in New Orleans, a school, great school called Isidore Newman. And I ran the improv club, theater games, we called it. And so that was my first pivot.
Okay. I love that example because so many people that I talk to think that I'm not funny. I can't do improv. And so I love the example that you just decided on the fly, if you will. All right, let's do this. So can you tell me some other ways that you used improv in school, like in elementary school? Because I think, everyone's been to elementary school, so they might relate to that. What are a couple of other things that you did?
Well, to be precise, I was a middle and high school teacher.
Oh, okay.
But whatever. Another thing we did was I had a senior elective, and the whole entire semester we thought about one question, which was, what was it? The decision to drop the atomic bomb. What was the logic behind that decision? Was it right? Was it wrong? What were the implications? And we turned the history hallway into a museum. So each kid made one kid made a video piece. One kid did a visual, like he's a painter. He painted something. Another kid did like a historical documentation on the wall with timelines. And anyway, each kid took his skill. It was all boys, so I'm using his 5 kids, small elective, and very improv-like energy, right? Where we're just creating a visual representation of one of the most fateful decisions in American history.
Okay, so
world history, I guess.
Yeah, world history, agreed. I think that that's so interesting that it is about creativity. And I think a lot of people think that they aren't creative, which is another reason why people won't take an improv course. Like, I'm not funny, I'm not creative, but I think there's creativity in each person. So how do you kind of get people to be creative in improv?
The secret sauce of improv isn't having something clever to say. It's actually listening. It's the opposite of
Mm-hmm.
speaking. It's listening. So if you're quiet, so this class I'm the TA for now, we have 25 students, and there's some folks in there that are typical charismatic type A personalities all over the place, loud and funny and boisterous, and the kind of person you'd have a drink with at a bar. And then there's a couple people who, for like second language reasons or other reasons, are just a little more quiet and reserved. They're incredible listeners, and they contribute something at the right time, at the right moment, because no one else is paying attention at that
Oh,
level. So
that's
yeah,
that's so great. So anyone can do this, even if English is not your native language. Yeah.
for sure. Like half of this class down at Stanford is people from all over the world. It's an incredibly diverse group.
Okay. I love that because everyone knows my sort of main interest is communication. And I started mainly with just second language learners. And so many of my students think like, oh, I can't do this either because maybe my English level isn't up to the level of everyone else's. I'm not a native speaker. So I love hearing you have all of these different people from all over the world just working on improv together. Okay, that's great. So everybody out there, this class is for you because anyone can do it. I absolutely love that. So what are some of the other myths that people think about improv? Do you hear any other big ones that people talk about?
The main one you've already identified. You have to be funny, but also that that it's about performance, that the goal is necessarily performance. And like you said, myself, I did all this theater and I did all this improv, and I did work for a while as a professional Shakespearean actor. That's a whole different story. But I never pursued performance like some of my friends did, who are still working actors in New York City doing theater stuff after all these years. It never occurred to me. So my goal was never performance. That's not where I thought. I wanted to apply all these skills to somewhere else. So it's not all leading up to the fact that that you need to go become a stand-up comic.
Okay. Yeah, that's really great too, because everyone thinks you are so right. Like 100% agree. Everyone thinks, well, for my job, I never have to perform. I never have to do a presentation. But I would say we all perform every day because we are in maybe a meeting with our boss or talking to a client. How do you think kind of all of this helps you just as a normal person at your job? Let's start there. How does that help?
One word: connection. You're in a team meeting. You're not leading the meeting, but you're connecting and listening to other people. You're looking for something to contribute. Feeling connected. We're all so isolated right now, and the feeling of connection will make your job better. It'll make your life better. Connecting to your kid, connecting to your kid's teacher, whoever it is in life. You don't need to. It's not about leadership training. People also, that's another myth, is that be a great leader, learn to do improv, dominate the room, dominate the moment, dominate the conversation. No, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah. So it sounds like all of this is very subtle. And I love what you said about connection. I have many, many students, and I cannot tell you how many of my students in the middle of a one-on-one class are literally on their phones. It's always shocking to me. My favorite is when people kind of do this, and they think that like I'm never ever going to notice. I find myself in one of my sort of goals for the new year is to be more present and be on my phone less. And I explain it to kids as this kind of sucks your brain out of your head, and then you're not present in the moment. So what do you do with your phones in an improv class? Are you allowed to have them, or do you lock them up, or do you just learn not to rely on them?
It's funny. Patricia doesn't make a big deal about them one way or the other, but I haven't seen anyone pull one out, so I guess they they kind of get the feeling. Or I never noticed it. I was never looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But there isn't this explicit thing like, okay, everybody put your phone in this Ziploc bag like you're going to some government building. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like that. On the flip side, it isn't, and there isn't even an announcement like at a movie theater. Make sure
Yeah.
your phones are silent. She just sort of doesn't talk about it because I think everyone assumes we're here to be physically present with each other.
What I
But
think
at
is
some point,
interesting is
yeah.
I think that improv, this is just my opinion, and I'm sorry to interrupt, that you have to be so focused, even if you don't plan on it to begin with. That like you literally can't have your phone because you would miss something and then you're done for. And then you're kind of embarrassed because you've missed your turn or whatever you're supposed to be doing.
Or like you and I are in a scene and you named me Gerald, and our partner, who's also in the scene, was on her phone, and turns to me and names me Billy. It gets a
Yes.
laugh from the
Yes.
audience, but
Yeah.
like I'm Billy Gerald, and then you make a joke of it. It happens all the time. But like,
Mhm.
yeah, you just miss important details like someone's name or whatever.
Mhm.
Where are we? Here we are in the Tuileries Gardens. Oh, and then the next person thinks we're at an airport. So
Yeah.
yeah, in a scene, it's really critical, but also just in general, yeah. And,
Mhm.
and and like you said, there's all this research that the minute you look at your screen, your brain changes.
Yeah, yeah, it's gone. It's like sucked out of your head, I call it. So recently, my husband, daughter, and I went to a local speaker, and it was a gentleman. He was a gentleman who teaches improv to businesses, and he had a bunch of people come up and volunteer. And the one thing that kind of surprised everyone was that we did not act out one scene. It was all games. So can you talk us through like especially when you get started to maybe like help some people get over this fear? What are some kind of the games that you play in improv?
So in the beginning, it's like attention games, like you're passing an imaginary ball back and forth, and this works on Zoom as well.
Hmm.
Building up to you're telling a story together, one word at a time. I use immersive spaces in Zoom, so you
Hmm.
can fix the seating, and it gives you sort of a silly background, or like looks
Oh,
like
that's cool.
a
Hmm.
boardroom. So it looks more playful. It's not just Hollywood squares or
Hmm.
whatever squares on
Yeah.
the screen, and also it makes it so that everyone's in the same order. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, those are just technical things. But telling stories together, writing a child's letter to Santa Claus or God or someone,
Hmm.
dear God, why is it raining all the time? You're doing this a word at a time.
Hmm.
You're listening to, and the other thing is you're not preparing
Yeah.
what you're going to say. You're just letting it flow out of you, which is another thing. We give gifts back and forth to each other to that effect where I like, oh, Jennifer, I got you something,
Oh,
and you
thank
open
you.
it up, and
Yeah.
you try not to predetermine that it's a salt shaker, but
Hmm.
discover that in fact it's a glowing crystal orb from
Hmm.
the middle of the earth, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just you don't you just show up and you try to stay in the moment, and we do little games that are designed to. That's like the first class. That's like,
Hmm.
I just sort of outlined a bunch of activities that I'll do on day one, which is February 19th.
Okay. Yeah. February 19th. Everyone check the description below so you can sign up. I was shocked in taking this, like, again, it was a 1 hour discussion and then everyone did a little improv at the end. And I was shocked because, I mean, I teach all day, I present all day. And even for me, and I've taken improv classes, like, I was shocked at that, like, initial game, how you kind of get nervous because you're not prepared. So I got into it kind of quickly, right? I was like, okay, I remember it's in my brain somewhere. For some other people in the group, it was funny. They would even say, like, oh my gosh, I can't think of any word to say. And so it was very humbling for many people. But as we went along, they did better and they kind of got into it. So I know your class is shorter. When do you see people kind of coming into their own?
Hopefully on day one, because the other half of day one is just learning each other's names. So it's a small
Okay.
class,
Hmm.
8 people.
Hmm.
So 8 people, and we just do all these different activities to get to know each other, because it's so nice to be seen and recognized for who you are.
Yeah.
Especially in a small class, even 25 people. The first lesson we had with these 25 people down on campus, it was pretty much all about names and getting to
Hmm.
know each other and having
Yeah.
casual conversations. So
Yeah.
you kind of come into your own when you can just relax and be yourself.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I did learn in improv is how to remember people's names and something about them. And then just to really stop and listen and not worry about telling them anything about myself. Like, I don't come into situations with people. It's a little different in an interview, of course. Like, I'm prepared. But in most cases, I just show up at an event and I'm like, okay, let's see how it goes. And so, like, that's really worked for me, is helping me remember people's names, kind of helping me like not be nervous about going to events. So, what are some things your students say that they get out of this that's like tangible immediately?
Mm, the folks that came back to me from my fall class,
Hmm.
um, got over that class was about AI. That class was all
Oh,
about
yeah.
how we deal with AI as humans, as people, and how we use it, but not sort of get dominated by it or whatever, not get caught up with it. And they had all these perceptions beforehand about what it is. It wasn't a technical course. I wasn't lecturing anyone
Yeah.
about it, because I'm not that guy to know deeply how it works better than anyone else. But it was more about how to play with it, how to be playful. So that's my long answer to your question: playfulness. Just like a childlike quality of sort of curiosity.
I love that. 1,000%. I do think that this improv really does increase your curiosity about things. It's just like you kind of get back into that world of, well, why? And why not try this? And why not do this? I never thought about how this really relates to AI until you said that like you did. But I do think that's so interesting because I think many people are reluctant to use AI because it's like, well, I don't know how to do it. And I don't know what to say. And I don't know the prompt. And so this is a great way. Improv is, helps you connect with people, helps you be playful, helps you be in the moment. And then it helps you try new things like AI. So that's another great added benefit. So you have 8 people in this remote class. Is that correct?
That's the goal. Yeah, we have 4 so far. It's half full.
Okay. And then when you have in person, you have about 25. How long is a remote class versus in person? Are they about the same or are they different?
I do the online classes shorter. People just get distracted. They got to make dinner. They got to,
Yeah.
pick up their kid. Whatever they got to do with
Yeah.
life is happening. So my Zoom courses are 1 hour.
Okay.
The live, in person, in real life courses are 90 minutes.
Okay. And you're teaching both right now, or am I incorrect? You have the remote one for sure, February 19th. What about in person? Can people sign up for that or no?
Not with me directly. That one's already full and there's a waiting list. That's the one down at Stanford.
Okay. So if you're in the Bay Area, we'll put all of Vince's information in the description. You can reach out to him because you're really connected in this world. So I'm sure you can help people find a class if they need something. What about people from other countries? Can they take your class? Like, when is your class scheduled? What time?
I just did it for 6 p.m. in a sort of California friendly time on a Thursday night, 6 p.m. on a Thursday. So that's
Okay.
11 a.m. in Japan on Friday, which is not great if you're working a 9 to 5 job.
Right.
You have a flexible schedule, it could work for you. But I can set up a course, at almost any time of my day to coordinate with almost any time around the world. I've had classes that are mostly students in China. I'm curious how improv is in India. I've had Indian Americans join my courses. I've never dealt with the Indian market. It's, of course, a huge market, but I
Yeah.
wonder would there be an offering there? Maybe someday. I don't think no one's ever heard of me there, so it's not going to happen. But I have connections in China and Japan.
Okay, anybody from India, reach out to Vince. He will hook you. He will hook you up. Okay, so you can then just like, could people get a group of their friends together and do a class? Does that work?
Yeah, one of the women who I taught previously came back to me and said, "Hey, I'm getting a group together. Can you work with us?" And I said, "Sure. Let me know." So we're in conversation right now to do that.
Okay. I also think personally, I took an improv class in person a long time ago before we had Zoom and all these things. And there were a lot of relationships that formed from my class. So all of you out there looking for love, take an improv class in person. I'm telling you, you'll meet like-minded people. You will not be afraid to talk to anyone. And, you will really connect with people. What do you find in your class? Do you find that people have an easier time connecting after? Do people kind of have friendships after? Like, what happens with all of that?
Yeah, people introduce people to each other. They find common things. One woman invited a woman who took my class through Stanford last spring, took my class again in the fall and invited her boyfriend. And now she's going to take my next class, the upcoming one in February. And she keeps bringing friends and introducing people. So yeah, it's kind of it feels very sort of sticky and viral. And I mean, at the end of the day, I hope I'm trying to build some sort of community around this.
Yeah, I think it's all about community. And I love what you said too. I can't remember if I mentioned this or not. It's been in my brain. You could take an improv class over and over until you kind of feel comfortable. And I took improv for a year. And again, it was the best thing I've ever done. I literally could get up and talk to anyone at this point. And I was the shyest kid. I know that people don't believe that now, but just talk to anyone in my family and they will tell you they worried because I was so introverted and so quiet. I did not talk when I was in kindergarten at school. Nothing. It was just no way. And so this really does help you come out of your shell a lot. And I just think it's great. What were you like as a kid?
Same. I stuttered and I had what they call a Maryland R. No offense to Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair. I used to say that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Speech therapist. I've helped kids like you. How are you still like you were as a kid? Because I know that was that, but
I was nervous before this,
Yeah?
conversation. I was pacing around the house. I was checking my notes.
Mm-hmm.
I still like you're saying, you were at this workshop with your family a few weeks ago, and you were a little wait a minute, you had to kind of calm yourself. So yeah, I'm still that guy. I still have anxiety. So it's sort of good medicine because it's the medicine that works for me. And therefore, that's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about sharing it is I know it works because I was that kid. I was that shy kindergartner too.
Yeah. I love the title of your new course. Can you tell us the name to talk about that and kind of break that apart a little bit? Tell me your new course, what is it called and what is it supposed to do?
So it's all about human connection. It's not about performance, and performance meaning okay, I want to see the two of you do a scene about a dog. I'm not going to do that to people. I'm not going to put you on the spot. I'm not going to call you up in front of the group to do something and make a scene out of nothing, which is part of what improv can be. But it's so we're dealing with the nuts and bolts beneath that about getting over all these fears that we have: fear of being judged, fear of being seen. Fear of losing control. If I start talking, I don't know what I'm going to say. It might get all weird and people won't like it or whatever.
Yeah.
All the stories we tell ourselves. So we're dealing with those fears. I'm not talking about the fears because I don't want to be negative, but in reality, that's what I'm trying to address is those fears that I know we all have. And those are universal fears, right? Those are fears of any kind of performance. A dancer has those fears. Anyone has those fears.
Yeah. I love the one about being seen. That is the one that I still struggle with. which is like, oh, and it's like little things like you get into your head, like, like today. So again, I'm not feeling like I'm going to be judged by you. I felt like I was really prepared, like I could wing it if I needed to. But then I was like, I changed 3 times because I'm like, is this an okay outfit? Because I think that's something that I didn't think about with improv either, is that you kind of have to become okay with really putting yourself out there. You can't turn off your camera, is I guess a good way to say that. And I think in our world of work from home and Zoom meetings, a lot of people just shut their camera off. And then it's like you can just meld into the background. And so I feel like this is good practice for people who are at home and work from home a lot, because you really, really have to get yourself out there. In regards to your class that's in person, do you have to be a student at Stanford or no? Okay.
It's open to the public.
Okay. Because I was going to say,
it's like continuing education. It's their external facing courses.
Okay. And this one is in person. I want to say after we spoke last time and did our last interview together, that you and your colleague had an online like informational class on an overview of improv. Are you doing any of those now if people are more interested? Or
I can do anything. If people contact me and say, so that one I call Games for Creative Living. And it's just playing games together. When I've taught that before, I got a lot of HR directors or classroom teachers or camp counselors or people that are like someone with, themselves with a big family, that they were like, I just want to learn like 20 new games that I can use with different situations to get people engaged. And that's what I got. I got this whole list of games I can play with people. So there's that sort of games focused course. And I'll do that one again if there's interest.
Okay. I love that. I took improv as a teacher to use it in my classroom, and I thought that was great. I think people could reach out to you, especially teacher schools, to do a really fun PD that's not just like boring. Been through many, that you could come in and do this for a school. I think that would be great. And I also love the idea of doing this for a camp or a family. Like that is really fun. I think this is great for kids. I can't say enough about it. It's like kids don't have those like walls up, but yet they do. And so this kind of like pushes you in a fun way, and it doesn't feel like they're doing anything but having fun, which is I personally love. Do you do classes still with kids, or you're still doing more college stuff?
Classes and families. I worked with a family, mom, dad, and daughter, like tween kind of daughter, 12-year-old.
Ooh, tough age.
And yeah, they were just the parents engaged me, and they were looking for ways to reconnect as a family, and they were tired of watching Netflix. And they, board games, and this was just another different thing. And I was like their game master, and I would just come in and like, okay, let's try this one. And then it was fun because they had their own variations on games I was introducing, and they'd be like, oh, we play it this way. And I was like, awesome, take over. So then the 12-year-old was like teaching her parents a variation on the game I introduced. And I was like totally empowering for her without setting it up to be an empowering session. She just naturally stepped up.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we haven't heard her talk that much in a long time. So thank you.
So I love a good game for a car. I love a good car trip. I think that's when most people do their best communication. Can you give us one idea for an easy game that we can maybe play in the car? Do you have any ideas off the top of your head?
Well, just the word at a time story. So if there's 4 of you, you're just going around in a circle, you set the order. Whoever's driving says man went home because he had no more money.
Okay.
End of story. Or like another one is moral of a story, or like wise sayings, like always tip the waitress. Yes, yes,
Ah,
yes, yes. So you're like saying like fortune cookie kind of wisdom.
yeah.
Any of these word at a time things work really well because you have to listen.
Hmm.
It's hard to be on your phone, that kind of thing, if you're in the back seat or even
Yeah.
in the driver's seat. So it's like, and it's fast. So
Hmm.
it sort of livens up the mood. You surprise yourself with what you're saying. You surprise yourself with what the final, how it ends.
Yeah.
And then you could do longer versions of that. There's a thing called Story Spine,
Hmm.
um, which is like 7 phrases, which is like any Disney movie,
Hmm.
almost any Hollywood movie, like Once Upon a Time, there was this. Anyway, I won't go through it all right now, but it has twists, it has turns, and then until finally, and ever since that day, you know, elephants have tusks. Okay, it's like an origin story kind of story spine thing, and you can do that one as well.
Okay, fun. And kids of all ages would really have fun with that. Okay, so I love that you sort of transitioned from this to that and like you've kind of come full circle. Do you have any tips for people when they're looking at pivoting? Like any quick tips or things that have worked for you that someone might think about applying? Again, it comes from improv, right? That you kind of just have to do the next right thing. But like, what kind of tips can you give people? Because I know a lot of people want to change. And what's one little thing that they can do?
Again, listen. Like in this case, listen to yourself. People say follow your passion, which I have mixed feelings about that because I have a passion for tacos, but I'm probably not gonna start a taco truck.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Hmm.
I would
Hmm.
just eat everything.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily cliche like follow your passion, but it is listen to yourself. Like so, my whole middle pivot when we first met, I was doing admissions work in Japan, which I still do and I still love because I love helping people get where they're trying to go. At the end of the day, that's something I deeply believe in. But it's at the point when I met you, that's all I was doing professionally. and
Hmm.
and it I'm a man of different interests. I'm a person of different interests, and so I needed to rebalance my life. And now that I've got this improv thing in full swing, I'm actually going to relaunch my admissions coaching business with a little more energy and passion. It's been on autopilot for years, for
Yeah.
like 5 years. I've been helping people a couple a year, just sort of word of mouth. But
Hmm.
I'm going to relaunch it when I go back to Japan in March with the fervor because I do love doing it. And now I've got this anchor of other work in my life that's going to keep me happy.
Yeah. So it sounds like you had a little bit of a side hustle going. Is that true? Okay. It's funny. I hear that from so many people that it's like, how did you get here? And it was like, well, I was doing this. And then this opportunity presented itself. And then I was doing these couple of things. And then before you know it, it was my job. And then I started doing this because I really love this. And this is kind of my passion. And then I was able to blah, blah, blah. So, I think that's great advice, which is just listen, of course, and listen and find those opportunities. It sounds like what you did, and then make them happen. I think that's the missing piece. Say that yes and make it happen, which is improv again. Yes anding, always just adding to it. Okay. So, um, tell me again, before I ask you my final question, where can people find you and where can they sign up for your class?
So my brand, my company, it's actually a registered business in Delaware. It's City Stages
Hmm.
is my brand name for all my improv work, and the website very simply is citystages.com.
Hmm.
I bought this URL in like 1990, like when the early days of the gold rush. I just
You're
grabbed this name
brilliant.
because I liked
So
it.
smart. Yeah.
Then I've been holding it and waiting. Anyway,
Mhm.
I launched it. It's out there now. Anyway, City Stages is where to find me. My email is similar, citystages at Gmail. Um, and that's the way to sign up for the course is just shoot me an email. If you want to read more about the course, it's on my website. And the link that I think you'll paste will have it's City Stages /online because it's an online course. But anyway, you don't have to memorize that. That'll be in the link. But you go to that URL, citysages.com/online. I'm a little bit low tech in this regard. I don't have Stripe or Square or eventually I'll have some super nifty one-click sign up thing. Literally, you just send me an email, and that's what people have been doing. And that's how I'm doing it.
Okay, that's what I do for all of my students. It's just cost prohibitive to have all the things. And I mean, it's getting easier and easier and easier now, but it's just, I'm still old school with that. And I like to meet with people before I sign anybody up. So I'm like way, way old school. I think this is interesting as you're an admissions coach as well, because when people try to get into graduate school, there's so much with like interviews and everything. So I love how these sort of overlap, and you've been using improv, even though it hasn't been your main gig, probably for your entire career, correct?
Yes.
I love it.
It's always there as the engine.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. So I love helping people, as you do too. So I always like to ask, who has helped you the most? Is there one person that you can think of, or like, one time in your life where you're just like so fortunate and you had like so many people helping?
I'm reaching for her book, which is in another room right now because I'm rereading it. But you've heard me say her name 3 times already, and I should perhaps diversify my answer. But it's the same person I mentioned.
I love it. Yeah, she was influential.
Yeah, because she's just the kind of person who keeps in touch with her students. I took every class she taught. I was her TA way back then. She always showed an interest in me. We're having a reunion in April of all the Stanford improvisers.
I love it.
Like her children or grandchildren. There's 400 of us now. So we're getting together on campus in April. Anyway, so yeah, she's a friend, and I'm her TA now, and she takes my courses. She just shows up without telling me in advance when she can. She just shows up to my online Zoom courses.
I love it.
And like, it's so helpful because if I struggle with something, I'm like, oh yeah, that game. She'd be like, she just casually steps in and like, because it's this encyclopedic knowledge that she has in her head.
Yeah. And what is her name and the name of her book again?
Yes.
I'm going to add a link.
So it's her name. She has her name is Patricia Ryan Madson. So she was Patricia Ryan, and then she married a guy named Ron Madson. So she's Patricia Ryan Madson, 3 names, no hyphens.
Okay.
Ryan Madson, Patricia Ryan Madson, and the book is Improv Wisdom.
Okay. All right. Vince, this has been great. So everyone, do yourself a favor. Reach out to Vince. Like, he's the best with improv. And he's got a class coming up February 19th. Is that correct? February 19th, citystages.com. And if you can't make it, be the hero of your family or your friend group or work. Reach out and schedule something, because I know this is a big statement. Improv will change your life. Like, I cannot say enough great things about improv. My husband, just a quick side story, we were living in Chicago at the time, and he was like, you should take this class. You have time to take it. And I was like, well, I don't know. And he was like, I travel for work. I can't take it, or I would take it. You do it. And I cannot tell you, it just really changed my life. Like, it's just the best thing to invest in yourself. It's a new year, new you. Everybody sign up, reach out to Vince. You are going to love it. You're going to connect with people, and it's just going to take you for the rest of your life. Like you said, you did this in high school. You've used it your entire career, and here you are, full circle, back where you started. Did I forget to ask you anything before we sign off?
We've got it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Vince. You're a delight. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for being here. Have a great day. See ya.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks.